RPG 그대로의 RPG 불멸의 전사 2.
Welcome back, everybody, to SPL Pro League on Monday. I am Valdez. With me is GTR today. We're having some fun. If you're just joining us now, you missed Samsung rollover SKT.
Yeah, huge surprise there by Samsung Galaxy rolling over SKT, as you said, 3-0, and it was all stomps those 3 games that they played. But we're here at KT versus MVP. Choya is finally back. It seems that he's finally discharged from the hospital. Looks like a broken foot.
Yeah, something like that. Might be ankle, one of those things. I hate those casts, man. But anyway, got TY versus DeParture up first. And this is kind of an interesting one because TY, don't forget, he just lost yesterday in the GSL finals, right? So he must not be feeling too good. And DeParture was that one guy on MVP that actually showed some promise and was doing better and better the more we saw him.
Yeah, and we also have to remember that TY did lose to Dark on Orbital Shipyard. I believe it was either last week or the week before. And with that game, there's a lot of data that DeParture can work from, figure out the flaws of TY's play, and figure out a plan to take the game. But that being said, TY is TY. There's the GSL champion, there's Zest on
Zest
camera.
just chilling,
yep,
taking a sip from his drink from the Holnanen bar up here on the 2nd floor.
The free drink from the bar that you can get here if you're here at the studio.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of people with the free popcorn around us, so.
Yeah, the popcorn's good. I like that they switched back to the butter popcorn.
I love butter popcorn.
That's my favorite one. They had caramelized one.
Yeah, we'll do a plug right here.
Yeah.
This is the popcorn you
SK
can get.
Telecom sponsors this tournament, guys, if you didn't know. They also provide some great popcorn, so we're happy with that. You can get some if you come down. I know everybody in the Twitch chat is spamming sellout right now. If it's not in sub mode, that's fine. We're just enjoying our popcorn here.
Yeah. As besides popcorn talk, actually I'm quite lost.
Let's just keep talking about popcorn.
Do you like caramel popcorn? Do you like colored popcorn?
Have you ever tried cheese popcorn?
No.
That tastes kind of okay.
I've only had
cheese
salted
powder.
and buttered and the colored popcorn.
I like
That's
the way
weird.
you say buttered. You say it like buttered.
Like a butt.
Yeah, buttered. I like that a lot. Guys, we got a matchup here, of course. More Starcraft. KT Rolster versus MVP Chicken Maru. TY versus DeParture to start. Jokti versus Gumiho. Zest versus Ryung, and then Stats versus Blaze.
Good to see Jukji back in the KT lineup because we have seen players like Lenok, like Lacera, take that 4th place in that team. But looks like the KT staff have a bit of faith in Jukji here, but he is against a very tough opponent in Gumiho.
KT's been struggling with their Zerg lineup for a long time. They've tried to add new players like Lenok, like Life, like Lacera, right? But none of them seem to stick, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they're just like, okay, we're just going to play 2 Terrans, 2 Protoss, and we'll see how that goes.
As we see here, our first matchup for KT versus MVP is going to be TY versus DeParture. And as good as TY is, we mentioned this during the SKT versus Samsung game, he has a 50% record in Pro League, and you're wondering, what? Like, what? But
Yeah,
I think
it's exactly
his
what
6
I said.
losses have been to very strong players where you can consider them the aces of the team. So considering that, it's not really a big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, TY's a guy, don't forget that in 2014 he went 7-0 in round number 1. Like, he's got the potential. It's just like, as you said, it's Pro League. Anything can happen in best of ones, right? And seems like this particular player has had some trouble this time around. Do you see one person does go for DeParture? It is going you, it's just Kanata.
Well,
and, he was right about Solar.
Yeah, he was right about Solar. So will he be right about DeParture? As Wolf would say, is TY tilted after the GSL final loss?
We'll see. He doesn't look too happy right now, to be honest, but we'll see. DeParture looking a little bit nervous. Let's jump into game number 1, a TVZ on Frost. Down here in the bottom right, in the red from KT Rolster, the Terran player, it is TY.
And spawning here at the top left as the light blue Zerg, it is MVP's DeParture. And we have cross spawns.
Cross spawns on Frost. I think Frost is now our biggest map.
Yep, with
Right.
Ruins of Ceres being lost out there into the abyss of the Pro League map pool.
Yeah, to get retired, of course. We'll see if it ever comes back. I mean, Frost is back, right? So maybe in like 2018, Starcraft 3 Pro League or something.
Ruins
Who
of
knows?
Ceres 2.0.
Yeah.
And no surprises here from both players. TY going for that Reaper opening, most likely, and DeParture is droning up to get that expansion up as he's right there.
I think that's from yesterday.
Yeah, that was from yesterday.
Yeah.
So, didn't throw that out even though TY did lose.
Yeah, I think the sign does say, unless there's a different verb that's Jida, I think it says the guy that doesn't lose, TY, and that's kind of...
Ironic.
yeah, I'm like, why would you bring that here, actually? That's kind of embarrassing, but I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. The guy is just a fan of TY. And this map, it's going to take a little while before we do get around to playing. What do you feel about DeParture nowadays? I mean, the guy is like 8-21 and probably he's 3-5 this time around, which is a lot better than he did in the past, obviously. But do you feel like he's a guy that we will eventually see reach some kind of, decent level where he's pretty consistently winning, or do you feel like he's just going to be one of these younger players that never really makes his mark?
Well, in terms of Pro League, I felt like DeParture was their ace player for a period of time. But then players like Gumiho and Ryung, they just shot out nowhere, honestly, and then became the star players on the team. And it feels like Ryung and Gumiho have overshadowed the efforts, I guess, of DeParture. And what were you saying about, is he ever going to break out of his, he's an up-and-comer. Will he be always an up-and-comer, or will he be a superstar? And honestly, I think he'll always be an up-and-comer. I don't think he has what it takes, at the moment at least, from what I've seen, to take the next step and be a perennial Codesser or a SSLer.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to say. I put you on the spot a little bit there, especially for a guy like this who's been around and obviously hasn't had too much success. But some players, it takes them a while to get really good. Some players, they get really good really fast. And you could tell right from the beginning, like, oh, this guy's going to be really good. Like someone like Dark, he finally reached that potential where he's known as one of the best players in the world, best Zerg in the world, right? But DeParture, to me, I feel like even though he's had some experience, he still looks nervous in the booth. He makes like nervous mistakes, like weird little mistakes here and there. And if he could hammer that out and become more consistent, I feel like he would reach a decent level at least. And maybe from there he could move up in the ranks.
But ever since the start of StarCraft Pro Gaming, and especially Pro League, we've always had so many players that have been what we call here practice bonjours, who are just so good in the practice house. All the top players ask for them to practice with for the individual leagues, but they just can't put it together on camera. And we haven't really seen enough of DeParture yet to make that assumption if it's nerves or not. But we'll just have to wait till the year ends out and see how DeParture's record is in Pro League, how he does in individual leagues as well, to make a full evaluation of him.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's on a team where he gets played a lot, right? He comes out all the time for MVP, nearly every single day. You can see he's already played 8 games so far in this Pro League, and he's looking better than the other years, that's for sure. But we'll see how it happens, where he does evolve to as a player. We do have some harass coming down here by TY, but lots of queens already being made.
Yeah, and you note the expansion pattern here from DeParture, going for that expansion down below him rather than the one right of him. It suggests that he wants to get that creep spread out to TY's base as quickly as possible, rather than going for the safe option of that expansion at the right of his base.
And we do have a Banshee that has come out and an Armory pretty quick here. Could be a decently aggressive build from TY, although he is making a 3rd command center.
Well, we did see a Thor yesterday, so we could see a Thor from TY, Kappa.
Well, I mean,
it's getting
nothing's impossible.
Shells.
Yeah, and lots of extra Liberators here. This is definitely not going to be a standard build, I
This
feel.
could be Marauder Hellbat timing from
with a
TY.
third CC. I'm like,
I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know.
Well, he is going to move this barracks away.
Did he cancel that concussive shell? Or
I
did
think
it research?
finished.
Okay, finished.
No, it didn't. He actually canceled it.
Okay.
Oh, he was pretending it was stem for the Overlord. Okay, and now he's gonna swap it. Let me check where the armory is actually. It's hidden behind the natural gases.
Okay, so that was just a complete fake there from DeParture, and well, I guess stim is a given for the play for DeParture, but okay, he's gonna see these Hellions now. We'll see how he reacts to this. He's pumping a lot of Zerglings, but they're not gonna help against these Hellbats now. And here comes the Hellbats.
Look at this. There's not really all that much here. He's desperately making a spine crawler. He has really over-made queens. He's got 6 of them. I don't mean that in a negative way. He's got a lot of queens to help in the defense, but not much else. Fancy taking some fire from that Spore, and these Hellbats are getting surrounded. The queens have enough energy here, I feel, to push back these Hellbats. Looks like that third base, though, is taking a lot of damage. And in the main and the natural, there are 2 Liberators.
Yeah, I mean, those Hellions... Oh, they're actually chasing these drones away from the third base. I was going to say before that the Hellbats were just sitting there in the middle of the map doing nothing and getting shot by the Queens, but these Liberators doing so much work as well.
Oh, yeah, this is just so much damage. Repositioning both of the Liberators, too. Denying more and more mining time. 27 drones have already gone down. And TY's got his own third base up and pumping. He's ahead in workers against a Zerg cross map here.
Yeah, this is looking really comfortable for TY here, taking so many workers of DeParture. It means that DeParture has to invest all this lava that he's saved up onto getting more drones and trying to get back into this game, but so many Hellions here from TY, he can just move DeParture all over the map.
Well, the Hellions are coming back in here, and there's so many drones bunched up. Some Lings are going to delay this, but there's really not that much else here for the defense. Coming in and roasting more and more drones. Looks like he will lose these Hellions after all, but doing more consistent damage.
Yeah, the damage has been done. TY is 8 workers ahead, and more Liberators are just swarming across the map here for TY. Another one here at the main base of DeParture, and DeParture has no answer for this. Where are the Queens?
All the Queens at the front trying to defend, and they're all bunched up. Finally, he's beginning to move some of these Queens into the main and split them up.
But
now another Liberator comes in. Reactor Liberators are very hard to deal with. Yeah,
those Liberators come out so quickly, and when you're trying to multitask between a couple of bases and try and defend from these Liberators, they just do way too much. If you don't deal with it properly, they just do way too much damage.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Now another 23 drones have come down. That is a lot of drones in total. Man. That's more than 50 so far, up to 56, 57, 58, 59. It's kind of getting out of control by this point.
It's like we're watching Sesame Street here and we're learning how to count because these are so many drones being killed here.
Yeah, we're going pretty high. I mean, this is getting kind of complicated.
Yeah.
But look at this again.
God.
Just more and more. And DeParture, he doesn't even really have an economy to do this. To deal with this. He's trying to run by some Lings now. There's no defense, lining up all the drones now, getting more and more kills, up to 45.
Oh,
TY, after yesterday, he came out with a vengeance to just destroy this poor Zerg.
If I had a nick for every drone that was killed this game, I'd be able to afford a beer from the convenience store right now.
Probably more than that, man.
Yeah. I mean, even the the Banshee speed upgrade coming from TY. This is just a world of hurt coming from TY. He's not even going for Bio. We're going to see Sky Terran here with those Hellions as well. We saw TY actually do this against, I believe it was Biol and King Sejong Station, but Biol dealt with it quite well, but DeParture obviously a tier below, or tier 2 below Biol, and he's not looking too good for DeParture here.
And I like the opening that TY used too. Even on the map this big, he's like, no, Hellions are really fast. So you got Liberators are also fast, so they can fly across the map, and you start off with a lot of harassment, and then you eventually, you're expanding behind it, you eventually add more production facilities. And look at this gigantic army. DeParture has 8 mutas in the sky and 13 Lings.
And with the Liberators anti-air and their splash, remember the patch has not come out yet here in Korea, so the Liberators anti-air is still as strong as ever, and it's going to be really hard for DeParture to defend from this attack.
Yeah, I dare say impossible. We'll see how these mutas are going to do. The Lings trying to come in from behind, but kind of pitiful at this point. Oh boy,
Oh
there
my
you
god,
go.
that splash attack.
Everything dies in an instant. GG, TY takes the win. Doesn't even look happy about it. He's like, yeah, that's the player I am.
Oh man, that game was disgusting if you were DeParture. My heart would be just sunk by how we lost that game. That was just a pure reckoning from TY.
Yeah. That reminds me of like Maru versus Myungshik or Maru versus Creator. Where like Creator's crying in the booth, head in his hands because it was such an embarrassing loss. Like that was just utter domination by TY tonight. And
well, it's good to see that TY took that game out. As I assume that Kanata would have thought that TY would be in a negative state of mind coming to that game, but it looks like playing against DeParture was the best remedy for him to take complete wrecking.
Yeah, I mean, TY's been around for how many years? Like
10.
11, 10? Okay, so this guy has dealt with defeat, with loss before.
Like, honestly, I think the most tenured pro gamer before TY is Stork. And then after that would probably be TY and maybe Stats. I'm not too sure, honestly. But
Stats getting up on 8 years.
Yeah, but our next game, after that demolishing from TY, will be Jakji versus Gumiho. And as I mentioned in the pre-game, I'm really curious to see how Jakji is going to approach the game. We haven't really seen too much at all in Pro League.
To be honest, Gumiho, I feel like is the heavy favorite. We saw Jakji come out a bunch last year towards the end, and even at the beginning of this year a little bit, I believe, and just did not impress too much, to be honest. I feel like Gumiho is definitely, we're talking about, he's kind of overshadowing DeParture at this point, becoming more of the ace for MVP, being used even in ace matches for MVP recently. So definitely doing well these days is Gumiho.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how Jakji can perform in lieu of players like Speed, like Trust, that KT do have up their sleeve. And don't forget, Leonok and Lucero aren't being fielded today. So obviously the KT coaching staff do have a lot of faith in Jakji, and especially in a mirror matchup like Terran versus Terran. I feel that Terran versus Terran is one of Jakji's better matchups out there.
Yeah, it definitely is. I feel like it's not going to be a stomp. It's not going to look like that last game.
Last game was an anomaly.
Yeah. I wouldn't tell your friends to watch that game unless they're really sadistic. They really hate Zerg. They like really hate Zerg. They really hate drones. They're like, oh, I gotta watch this.
Or they like to watch new strategies, because that was actually a pretty neat strategy that TY did. So
yeah. Even down to the fake on the stem with the concussive shell upgrade, that was just a very well thought out build. And TY came prepared today, even with the GSL final yesterday. So that's what happens when you get someone like him, who's definitely known as the best Terran in the world nowadays. Maybe Maru's just slightly behind.
Yeah, I definitely think that Alive and Beyond have fell off the map completely.
No. At this point, I feel like it's TY, Maru, and then Innovation. Yeah. Those other guys really just, kind of beginning of the beta, new expansion heroes.
But it feels like they've
disappeared.
They've lost their luster, I guess, and while the better players out there have finally figured out how the game has worked.
And guys, if you do come down to the studio, you can come in here, and they've got one of those machines with the balls inside of it. You can play with that. You can talk to those very nice people who used to run the bar, but are now at the front.
And then we have new people at the bar.
Yeah.